Meh, a single syllable. A word that's not even a formal word, yet it holds a lot of meaning and is often perceived as something wrong or bad to feel. But right now, as you're watching this, you're probably feeling this yourself, which is totally fine. It happens. But how long have you been feeling that way? You may or may not have heard the term languishing before. After all, this is predicted as the most dominant emotion that most people have felt or are still feeling in 2021. So let's delve into this topic to understand and learn how to cope with this emotion. At present, we're still fighting against COVID 19. The reality we face every day is one of uncertainty and dread, and carrying this thought causes us immense torment. That's why, as the year two of the pandemic continues, the mental torture brought upon by this thought has led us to languish. So, what is languishing? Coined by Corey Keyes in 2002, he defined languishing as an absence of mental health. In psychology, mental health is viewed as a spectrum. The tail end of the spectrum is depression. It drastically affects the way you think, act, feel, and everything else negatively. It's a deterioration of your mental health. On the other end is the summit, flourishing. Flourishing is a state of being mentally healthy. You are fulfilled and content with yourself and your relationships. Languishing now sits in the middle of the spectrum, the neglected middle child, so to speak, and to quote Adam Grant. Why exactly is this? According to him, this is because there is a tendency to overlook such an emotion. In verbatim, he said, "Part of the danger is that when you're languishing, you might not notice a dulling of delight or the dwindling of drive. You don't catch yourself slipping slowly into solitude. You're indifferent to your indifference. When you can't see your own suffering, you don't seek help or even do much to help yourself." A study has found that the people who are likely to be depressed in a 10-year period are actually the people who are currently languishing. So it's significant to first acknowledge what you're feeling. Giving a name to the feeling and recognizing it helps in the process of coping with it. Thus, it becomes much easier to manage and take the next step. The same concept applies for languishing. Now that we've named it, how do we tame it? Grant proposed finding these three conditions in any activity that you can do: mastery, mindfulness, and mattering. The common signs of languishing include a lack of motivation, focus, and purpose in our daily lives. Often, you'd find yourself procrastinating, mindlessly scrolling through your social media feed, binging and or rewatching shows that you've seen before, and starting tasks every 10 minutes but never finishing any of them. This is because we all feel restless and a little bit joyless in our mundane tasks, which is exacerbated by the pandemic. Adam Grant explains this behavior as a way to fight off the lingering languishing. However, there is a concept of flow. This is characterized as a phenomenon in which we are so engrossed in an activity that we almost lose ourselves in it. If you've seen the movie Soul by Pixar, it is much like being in the zone. The key is finding and getting to your peak flow, and this could be found in any activity that you can master, matter, and mindfully do. And mastery doesn't have to mean being a prodigy, it simply means having the motivation to practice and learn to succeed in the endeavor. And having to master a task also calls for mindfulness, which means being fully absorbed in doing the task and in completing it. Mattering is when you know that what you're doing is making a positive impact on other people. So what's your flow? What activity do you practice mastery, mindfulness, and feel mattering? It doesn't have to be a grand task. It could be watering your plants, yoga, watching a movie with your family and friends, and for Adam Grant himself, even playing Mario Kart. But surely this gives us a new way to view mental health, that it's not all black and white. From here, we remember that even that meh feeling is totally acceptable. And when it persists, you'll know how to wade through the muddy, murky waters.